Hello, beautiful people. It is your host, Jennifer Nicole, and I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Genuine Life podcast, the final episode of 2020. And I think we just need to pause here and just give ourselves a round of applause and a hug because this year was ratchet, okay? I do not recommend. Pass go. Do not look back. It is over. Happy New Year's Eve. I am so excited to be finishing out this new year with you and bringing in a brand new one, fresh with all new kinds of possibilities and opportunities. I think 2021 is going to be good to all of us. Not that 2020 wasn't, it was just different, right? It was different. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being you and allowing me to rent space in your brain for the next 30 minutes or so. I appreciate it. I hope you had a great week and a great Christmas. I hope you're gearing up for a wonderful new year. And I'm so happy to be connecting with you today. So if you follow me on Instagram, then you saw where I drove overnight to New Jersey to surprise my parents for the holiday. So my sister and I and our dogs, we hopped in my car and knocked out the drive in about 14 hours. It was really good. It was actually my first time driving overnight, which was something new for me. And I have to tell you, I really, really liked it. Like, it was so quiet. The roads were clear. We didn't have any kind of traffic, no construction. The music was good. I really couldn't have asked for a better setup. So we have been here since Christmas Eve, and we should be heading out at the end of this weekend. And so I'm looking forward to getting back home for sure. But it's been a really, really nice time being back home in New Jersey and just kind of hanging out with my family without feeling rushed. So it's been really good. I hope you had a really good time too. Although, now that I think about it, I did stop at a Chick-fil-A in South Carolina, and it was the first time that I had ever had bad service at a Chick-fil-A. It was terrible, y'all. My fries were cold, my soda was straight up seltzer, and they moved really slow. And I don't know, I feel like it was because it was close to like their closing time. But you know, Chick-fil-A is known for good service no matter what. So I will say that. I didn't like it. I think it was near Clemson. So yeah. Boo, Chick-fil-A. Anyway, I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. And if you celebrate it, I hope you were able to spend it the way that you wanted to. And if you don't, I hope you enjoyed the day off and still did some really cool things and was able to catch up on some rest, ate good, and spent the day however you wanted to. I know I did. It was cool. I hope Santa was good to all of you. If you got something that you've been wanting or kind of looking out for, I hope you were able to get it. But anyway, I don't have a huge agenda today. I really wanted to spend this final episode of 2020 kind of going over some updates and recaps with you. And then I did have a quick message that I hope will bring you some encouragement heading into 2021. This is the last episode of 2020. I still can't believe it. I know I've said that like 5 times, but I started this podcast in February of this year, and time has really flown. I mean, here we are. We're on our 25th episode together, and I realized that when I started the podcast, I really had no idea what I was doing, and I've told you all that plenty of times. I still don't know what I'm doing half the time. I'm constantly changing things on the back end and trying to kind of figure out what I want. I mean, I wish you could see how I'm set up now. It's very janky. I'm sitting in my mom's dining room with my microphone in a vase full of flowers just to hold it. So yeah, like I kind of do things on the whim, and somehow, you all still tuned in and listened and loved it and gave me feedback and reviewed. And I just want to say thank you. And it also led me to really want to hop on the phone with some of you and hear from you directly, your honest opinions about the show and what you want to hear more of. Because initially when I started the podcast, like, no shade, but I was like, I don't care what people want. I'm just going to talk about what I want to talk about. And come to find out, you guys actually like that. And so first I want to say thank you to each of you that took time out of your busy schedules to hop on the phone with me, catch up, because many of us, hadn't talked in a little while, and also offer me honest opinions about the Genuine Life podcast. And so I received a ton of great feedback from you, lots of encouragement and inspiration. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I just started this podcast 10 months ago, and I had no idea where, that I would be here thanking you for almost 3,000 downloads. And so 2021, I have really big goals. I'm going to stop treating this podcast like a hobby. I love it too much. And I think that I owe it to myself to put more into it. And I owe it to you as well, because you're so dedicated and supportive in listening. And so I just want to say thank you again, like with a huge TY exclamation mark. Okay. With that being said, I realize I've been inconsistent, right, with releasing episodes. And while many of you understood life in 2020, I had moved, I had done a lot of things, started a job, all these things were going on. You guys are patient and kind, and I'm happy to share that I'm back on schedule. I needed to figure out something that would work for me. And so instead of Monday, episodes now will be dropping every Friday. And that was some really good feedback too, because a lot of you listen to multiple podcasts. And while it doesn't always matter when you listen, because you can always catch up, I didn't realize at the time that everybody seems to release episodes on Mondays. And so you are kind of like, oh my gosh, you're getting all these alerts, especially if you have Apple Podcasts. So I'll be releasing on Friday. And this also works better for me too, because I feel like I can kind of build more of a story throughout the week in order for me to record on Friday. And I know that sounds weird because it really, in the long run, doesn't matter, but this is my brain and this is how it works. So Fridays it is. So not tomorrow for the first, but the very first episode will be next Friday. So count this one for your Friday episode. But yeah, we're back. You'll get a nice little alert on Fridays. So with that being said, make sure you are subscribed to the podcast to ensure that you are notified when a new episode drops. And also, when you subscribe, it does help boost my podcast up. So the more that you interact with it, it's recognized by Spotify, by Apple, by Amazon Music, all of these companies that are now featuring podcasts. The more engagement that you do, the better it is for the podcast to be seen and recognized. And so while you're there, if you can, take a second to even rate the show. You don't have to review it, because I know a lot of people just, the typing, it's too much. I get it. But if you can rate the show, that's super helpful. If you feel it in your spirit to leave a review, go ahead and do that as well. It's super helpful. You guys already have the sharing on lock. I cannot tell you enough how much I appreciate when you share the podcast on your Instagram stories or Facebook pages or Twitter or wherever you choose to do it. It is appreciated so much, more than you know. And this not only helps, again, with boosting my chances of the podcast being heard, but it puts me closer to taking over the podcast world. Insert evil laugh. Okay. Also, just as a reminder, you can now listen to my podcast on multiple platforms. So I know initially when I first launched, it was just on Apple, Spotify, and Google and Anchor. But now Amazon/Audible has podcasts now, and I'm on there. So you can listen to me as if you finish a book, then you can head on over to the podcast section and listen to this podcast there. Still on Google, still Apple, still Spotify. You can also just listen directly to the podcast on Anchor, which is where I'm hosted. And honestly, anywhere that you listen to a podcast, you can listen. Just look up The Genuine Life. I'm the only one with genuine spelled that way, so it should be pretty easy to find. And if you're wondering why I'm sharing this info, because I know you're probably like, girl, I'm listening to the podcast, so clearly I know how to find it. This information is for you to tell your friends and your family how to find it. And you know what's crazy? I know a couple people who have iPhones that had no idea that the podcast app was already installed on their phone. So you don't even have to do anything if you have an Apple. I don't know how Androids work, and I'm not trying to be like a bougie Apple person when I say that. I just don't know, because I have an Apple. But if you do have an Apple product, if you just search podcast, there's already an app installed on your phone so that you can listen right there. Okay, so the next fun update is you can now text me. So again, if you follow me on Instagram, I shared that I had put in a application to get a number from this company called Community. So if you follow like Diddy, Gary V, it's like a ton of celebrities, because they did they kind of launched it first before they gave it to quote unquote us regular folk. So they I signed up, and I get like these text messages from Gary V and Diddy, and they're not like every day, not with them at least. but they always seem to come on time, and they're encouraging messages, they're updates about their business. It could be a product that they're selling, but it's just a quick way to kind of connect with your audience. And so I was like, this is a really good idea, because while I love newsletters, I know me personally, I will miss the email, I'll overlook it. Sometimes I accidentally delete it as a consumer. And then sometimes as a creative person, the thought of me having to design a newsletter every week, it was too much. Sometimes I don't even have that much to say, right? I feel like everything I ever need to say, I say through the podcast. And then follow-ups in my mind should be short and sweet. And so this is why this platform was perfect for me, because I'm constantly on my phone. I love a good text message, and you never miss it. And so they approved my application, and it's just a really cool, practical platform for me to use to connect with you all, without feeling pressured to send out an email that you may never read. So now you'll never have to worry about missing updates about the show. I'm working on some really cool things for 2021 that discounts could be involved. And so this will give you an opportunity to sign up, and of course, encouraging messages that come directly from me. So this is not like, I think when you first sign up, you'll get like an auto message that just kind of helps you get signed up. After that, every single message that you get comes directly from me. Like there's no bot involved or anything. And what's also really cool about it is that you can respond directly to me. So like I have a young lady who signed up, and like she sent me an article to read. And it was really cool. Like, 'cause I hadn't seen it. I didn't know anything about what she sent me. And so it's just a really good way for us to connect without, the messiness of what an email can sometimes cause. I've received a lot of cool things. And of course, those of you, it takes like 2 seconds to sign up. So I'll list the number in the show notes, but you can also click the link in my bio on Instagram, and you'll be able to sign up and just be a part of our text message family. It's really cool, and I hope to see you there. Okay. All right. So I'm going to get to my message, because I definitely don't want to hold you long, because, I can't do like 2-hour podcasts or anything. So I want to talk about 2020 going into 2021 and social media. And I've kind of talked about social media before, but I have so many thoughts on it. And so I just feel like I kind of need to get all of them out, but I also want to make sure you're encouraged going into the new year. So for the longest time, it always boggled my mind how bothered people were at folks that said, new year, new me, or I'll start on Monday, or I'll start on the 1st, or the memes that seem to poke fun at people who started at the gym on the first Monday of the year. I, for one, am one of those folks that like to start on a Monday and on the 1st. So if you are as well, I'm going to fist bump you right through the earwaves right now. I don't know what it is. Like for me, it's the mental thing. Like I like to mentally prepare for something that I'm going to be starting that's new. And I don't just jump in. And it could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. But it's just the way it works for me, right? And so it always drove me nuts. Like when people were like, here come the new year, new me people. Or don't wait to start on the 1st, start today. And I hate those, because I'm just like, listen, if I choose to start today, that's fantastic. If I choose to start on the 1st, guess what? The whole time between the 30th and the 1st, I'm going to be living the life that I still want to live. So I'm, it's not hindering anything. And while I totally understand where people are coming from, like you should never wait. If you want to start something, you can start today, but you can also take baby steps. You don't have to do everything cold turkey and at once, unless that's something that you want to do. Okay. So please do whatever keeps you motivated and accountable. Pay no attention to anything or anybody. I'm begging you. At the end of the day, every day that you live the way that you want and intend to is a win in my book. And again, whether you choose to start on the 1st, the 4th, because I'm starting some stuff on the 4th, because it just works for me, right? I wanted the first Monday of the year. This is giving me time to mentally prepare for some of the sacrifices that I'll have to make for my end goals. You can spend that time in reflection. You can spend that time in journaling. You could spend that time mentally preparing for whatever it is that you want. And that's okay, you know, and I just want to say, like, it's okay. Don't be hooked into this whole, like, I don't know, this just superhuman mentality that I think some people have had in the most tumultuous year that we've all experienced. And again, I want to be very clear. This is not shade to anybody who, you know, is like, I want to start today and not wait until the first. That's great too, right? And I think that's what we have to recognize. Everybody's great. You all are great. But I think we have to honor how people process and how people execute. And the key here is execution. As long as you execute, then that's fine. It's great. You do whatever you need to do. The end result is execution and getting it done. Okay? There's another meme going around that says something along the lines of, if 2020 didn't bring the hustle out of you, then you ain't got it. And I have to tell you, I was 50-50 with this meme too, because I get it. There is some truth to it, right? Slightly. I think that if you've been praying for extra time or an opportunity to start a business or a chance to connect and network with family and friends, then 2020 definitely delivered. So it was up to you to take advantage of that time given. However, I need that however in caps, all caps. I know that there were days and weeks where some people were just proud that they took a shower and brushed their teeth that day. This was a very, very tough year. And some people needed the whole year to just be, relax and chill. And they've been dealing with some really hefty situations this year, compounded with depression, anxiety, death, you know, the loss of loved ones, loneliness, financial issues, and so much more. Some people needed 2020 to teach them to rest, take it easy, and connect with friends and family, or even themselves, in a way that they probably hadn't before. So while I know many of these things are just memes, it's also important to me that people consider what they post. We have a responsibility to people who follow you and really enjoy what you have to say. So for any of you that have seen that meme or have been in the middle of conversations that may have made you feel uncomfortable, I'm here to remind you that you are doing just fine. Whether you lost 50 pounds or gained 50, got married or going through a divorce, lost your job or even got a new one, or maybe you can't find one, you found a new hobby or took a break from one, got a new job or decided to, quit. Whether you got a new home or decided to rent another year, whether you traveled your heart out with or without your mask or decided to hunker down, you need to rest in the cloud of assurance. This year went exactly how it needed to go, and it was destined to be the way it was for you. And while we all share commonalities regarding COVID, we all experienced it differently as well. So you should not measure your ability to survive 2020 by comparing yourself to someone else's edited photo, elaborate caption, or carefully crafted video sharing their accomplishments for 2020. There are folks out there that need and seek validation on social media, but you, my friend, are powerful because you take the time to invest in yourself. You live authentically, and I can't stress authenticity enough. And you're unapologetically being yourself and taking the time to heal from things and people that may have hurt you. So, taking the time that you need does not make you weak. You're not missing out on anything. You're right where you need to be. And I trust that you know what to do, when to do it, no matter what it is. Okay? I'm going to leave you with a meme that I did see that I loved and posted by Lewis Howes. He has a podcast. It's actually really good too. He used to be a football player, and now he's like a motivational speaker. But of course, I had to mix in a little bit of my commentary as well. So the meme said, I hope you realize 2021 won't magically be your best year ever unless you, 1, take ownership for your actions. 2, change your habits to support your growth. 3, make health and happiness a priority. 4, Learn to say no and develop boundaries. 5, surround yourself with positive people. So I want to take a look at the first one, taking ownership for your actions. I think this year, 2021, you want to take accountability for everything that you do and say. Now, whatever happened in 2020, I'm going to tell you, if you need to let it go, let it go. If it's on your heart to address something, go ahead and address it. But once it's done, right? We're not going to keep harping on things. So going into the new year, just be accountable for whatever your actions are, whether positive or good, right? And we're not going to be holding on to anything anymore. Like, that's just so 2020. We're not doing it. There's no room for it. You have some goals that you have to accomplish, and holding on to things is just going to hold you back. So we're going to take ownership for our actions and move on. The second one was change your habits to support your growth. So I like this one because you want to be intentional about everything. So if it doesn't help you get to your next level, then don't do it. It's literally that simple. You also want to focus on one step at a time. So I kind of talked about this earlier. You don't have to change 50 habits all at once. That's something that I had to learn. You want to break the goals down so that you can gradually check things off the list. 1, you don't feel overwhelmed, but 2, you're able to get more done because you're only focusing on one thing at a time. Number 3, make health and happiness a priority. And we talk about this obviously on the show all the time, but I challenge you to really sit down and figure out what it is that you want, what is going to truly make you happy, and when do you feel your healthiest? And not stopping until all 3 are woven into your life somehow. So really taking inventory of the things that are around you that, I don't know, maybe feeling like they're weighing you down, or the things that give you life, and really starting to pour into those a little bit more so that you start to become a whole person. Again, really making health and happiness a priority and understanding what that is, right? There's some level of selfishness involved in that, but people who really truly care about you understand that you can only be as a great, wife, daughter, mother, friend, when you're healthy and you put yourself first. Learn to say no and develop boundaries. I think we all got a lot of practice with this in 2020. But let's keep the same energy going into 2021. Saying no without the need to explain unless you want to. Saying no is a form of setting a boundary. No is a response. So once you outline what makes you happy and what you enjoy, it will be easy to set those boundaries and to say no. That's the fun one. The final one is surround yourself with positive people. And I talk about this as well all the time with friends of mine, and I've done it on the show too. I need and enjoy what I like to call effortless friendships. And if I have to worry about you copping an attitude because I didn't call you back, or if it took 2 days to return a text, or if you bring a heavy energy with you, I can't do it. And I won't do it. And some people are just heavy. Like, I don't even know if they even realize it, but they just have a very heavy presence, just very negative. And some people can deal with it and some people can't. I'm one that can't. And so it's an energy that I choose not to have around me. And I keep people who are lighthearted, who are on a mission as me, and people who don't need to talk every day because I don't like the phone. Also, get serious about your goals and believing that anything that you want, you can have. This is not a part of the Lewis Howes meme, by the way. This is just another point. And I'll say it again. Get serious about your goals and believing that anything that you want, you can have. Stop thinking if someone else does it, that you no longer can. It does not mean that it's off the table. It's still there. There's enough out here for everybody. So push for yourself when you're ready, not when someone else tells you. 2021 is literally less than 24 hours away. And I, for one, have said that 2020 was the year to get rest and get clear. 2021 is the year of action. You had a whole year to really rest, to reflect. And so now I'm encouraging you for 2021 to take everything that you've learned and really put it into developing the life that you truly, truly want. The 2 words that kept coming up for me are intentional and consistency. And so these are going to be the words that I'm choosing to lead with this year. And I encourage you to think of a word or 2 or 4 that will help you stay the course no matter what your goals are. So those are my 2. Okay, I feel like I've talked your ear off. I want you to know that if no one else is proud, please take a moment to acknowledge your wins this year. Very proud. You've literally survived a year like no other. Be proud of yourself, my friend. Be humble, be grateful, and of course, be genuine. All right, beautiful people, that'll do it for today's episode. I thank you for joining me, and it's been a pleasure to finish out 2020 with you. Don't forget, if you share that you're listening to any episode of the Genuine Life podcast, don't forget to tag me on Instagram so that I can show you some love. And if sharing isn't your thing, that's cool. Go ahead and take a second to rate and or leave a review. Also, don't forget to shoot me a text. I'll leave that number for you so that you can get added to the Genuine Life text family. And until next time, remember to stay encouraged. Make sure you journal. Happy New Year. And finally, you're amazing.